It was 1965, and Las Vegas was run by the mob. When Muhammad Ali walked into the Sands Casino to celebrate his championship victory, a powerful mob boss looked at the young black champion and said a word that had been used to break men for centuries. But Ali wasn't like other men. His six-word response was so powerful, so devastating, that the mobster never spoke to Ali again, and the entire Vegas underworld learned that the greatest bowed to no one. The year 1965 was a strange time for Las Vegas. On the surface, it was America's playground, neon lights, showgirls, Frank Sinatra croning in the lounges. But everyone who lived there knew the truth. The casinos weren't run by businessmen, they were run by organized crime. The Chicago outfit, the New York families, Meyer Lansky's network, they all had their fingers in Vegas, skimming millions from the counting rooms, controlling who performed, who gambled, and who got hurt. Muhammad Ali had just turned 23 years old, and he was on top of the world. He'd defeated Sonny Liston to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He'd converted to Islam and taken a new name, rejecting his slave name Cassius Clay. The world was starting to understand that this young boxer wasn't just an athlete, he was a cultural force who refused to stay in his lane. In May 1965, Ali came to Las Vegas for a promotional appearance. His rematch with Liston was scheduled for later that month, and the boxing world was buzzing. Ali was staying at the Sands Hotel and Casino, one of the most prestigious establishments on the Strip, where the Rat Pack performed and high rollers from around the world came to play. On his second night in Vegas, after a long day of press conferences and photo shoots, Ali decided to unwind in the Sands Casino. He walked through the gaming floor with a small entourage. His trainer Angelo Dundee, his brother Rahman, and a couple of friends. People recognized him immediately. Blotter. Dealers looked up from their tables. Slot machine players paused mid-pull. The heavyweight champion of the world was in the house. What Ali didn't know was that his presence was causing problems upstairs. In a private office overlooking the casino floor, several men were watching him on closed-circuit monitors. These weren't casino managers. They were made men-menders of organized crime families who controlled the Sands' real operations. One of these men was Frank Lombardo, a capo in the Chicago outfit who oversaw their Las Vegas interests. Lombardo was in his 50s, thick-necked, with cold eyes and hands that had done things that kept him awake at night. When he bothered to feel anything at all, he'd killed men. He'd ordered killings. He'd buried bodies in the desert. And he believed that everyone eventually could be controlled. Lombardo watched Ali on the monitor, laughing with his friends, drawing attention, acting like he owned the place. It bothered him. This young black kid, and that's how Lombardo saw him. Just a kid was getting too big for his britches. All this talk about being the greatest, about refusing to accept his place, about joining the Nation of Islam and changing his name. In Lombardo's world, you didn't get to reinvent yourself. You knew your place, and you stayed there. Who let him in here? Lombardo asked one of his associates. He's staying at the hotel, Frank. He's the heavyweight champion. Good for business. I don't care if he's the president. I don't like the way he carries himself. Too much mouth. What happened next depends on who tells the story. But everyone who was there agrees on the basic facts. Lombardo went down to the casino floor. He walked straight up to Muhammad Ali, who was standing at a craps table, not gambling but watching the action and entertaining the crowd with his usual banter. You're that fighter, Lombardo said, his voice flat and cold. Ali turned, smiled his famous smile. I'm not that fighter. I'm the fighter. Muhammad Ali, heavyweight champion of the world. Lombardo didn't smile back. Yeah, well, in my casino, you're just another punk with a big mouth. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Angelo Dundee stepped closer to Ali, his hand on his fighter's arm. The people at the craps table suddenly found reasons to look elsewhere. In Vegas, you learned to recognize dangerous men, and Lombardo wore danger like a second skin. Your casino? Ali said, his smile fading but his voice still light. I thought this was the Sands. I didn't know you owned it. I own enough of it to say who's welcome and who's not, Lombardo replied. Then he said it. The word that had been used as a weapon against black Americans for centuries, the word designed to strip away dignity and humanity. He called Muhammad Ali the N-word right there on the casino floor in front of 50 witnesses. The room went completely silent. This was the moment when things usually went one of two ways: violence or submission. In Lombardo's experience, that word either started a fight he could have the person arrested for, or it broke their spirit enough that they left quietly. Either way, he won. But Muhammad Ali did neither. Ali stepped forward, close enough that Lombardo could feel his breath, close enough that the two men were almost touching. Ali was taller, younger, obviously physically superior. But Lombardo had killed men who were bigger than him. He wasn't intimidated by size. Then Ali spoke, 6 words delivered in a voice that everyone in that section of the casino could hear clearly. "The whole world knows my name." Lombardo started to respond, but Ali wasn't finished. He continued, his voice still controlled but carrying weight that made people unconsciously step back. "You called me that word because you think it makes you powerful. You think it puts me in my place. But let me tell you something. I've been called that word by senators, by governors, by boxing commissioners, by men who actually have power. And you know what I did? I won anyway. I became champion anyway. I changed my name anyway. I stood up to the entire United States government anyway." Ali leaned in even closer, and when he spoke next, his voice was quieter, but somehow more dangerous. "You're nobody. You're a thug in a nice suit, who hides in the shadows. I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm on television. I'm in newspapers. I'm in magazines. The whole world knows my name. And you know what? If something happens to me in your casino tonight, the whole world will know your name too. Every newspaper will print it. Every TV station will say it. Muhammad Ali attacked in Vegas mob casino. Is that what you want? You want the FBI, the press, the government all looking at your operation because you couldn't control yourself around the heavyweight champion." The silence that followed was absolute. Lombardo's face had gone red, then white. His hands were clenched into fists, but he didn't move. Around them, casino security had appeared, unsure whether to intervene or stay back. Angelo Dundee was ready to pull Ali away if violence erupted. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Finally, Lombardo took a step back. He pointed a finger at Ali, a gesture that looked threatening but felt empty. "You don't know who you're talking to," he said. But his voice had lost its edge. "You're right," Ali replied calmly. "I don't know your name, and after tonight I'll forget I ever met you. But you'll remember this moment for the rest of your life. You'll remember that you tried to break Muhammad Ali with a word, and you failed." With that, Ali turned and walked away from the craps table, his entourage following. He walked straight through the casino, through the lobby, and out to the parking lot. He didn't run. He didn't hurry. He walked like a champion. What happened in the hours after that confrontation became the stuff of Vegas legend, though the truth is probably less dramatic than the stories. According to some versions, Lombardo tried to have Ali thrown out of the hotel but was overruled by other mob bosses who realized Ali was right. Harming the heavyweight champion would bring heat they couldn't afford. Other stories claim that Lombardo wanted to have Ali hurt but was talked down by cooler heads who understood the changing times. What's certain is this: Muhammad Ali left Las Vegas alive and unharmed. He fought Sonny Liston later that month in Lewiston, Maine. The fight had been moved from Boston due to security concerns, and knocked Liston out in the first round with the famous Phantom Punch. And Frank Lombardo never publicly crossed paths with Muhammad Ali again. People who knew Lombardo said he never spoke about what happened that night. The word spread through Vegas, though Ali couldn't be intimidated. He couldn't be controlled. The usual rules didn't apply to him. But there's a deeper truth to this story than just one man standing up to another. What Ali understood, standing in that casino, was that power was shifting in America. The old rules, the ones that said black men should accept insults, should know their place, should be grateful for whatever scraps of respect white men threw them. Those rules were dying. Ali's genius wasn't in his fists, though those were extraordinary. His genius was in understanding that in 1965, with television cameras everywhere, with the civil rights movement making headlines, with the world watching, a young black champion had a kind of power that even the mob couldn't overcome: visibility. Lombardo could have had Ali hurt in a dark alley maybe, but he couldn't touch him in the spotlight. And Ali knew it. That's why his response was so perfect. The whole world knows my name. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement of fact. Ali had made himself too famous, too visible, too important to be disappeared or broken. In later years, when people asked Ali about his time in Vegas, he'd sometimes mention the casual racism he encountered, the people who tried to put him in his place. He never named names that wasn't his style, but he always made the same point: I never let anyone make me feel small. I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest. And nobody's word, nobody's hate, nobody's power could take that away from me. The story of Ali and the mob boss became a teaching moment, whispered among other black entertainers and athletes who came to Vegas. Don't back down. Don't accept disrespect. The times are changing, and you have more power than you think. Frank Lombardo continued his work in Vegas for a few more years. But the mob's grip on the city was loosening. The FBI was cracking down. Howard Hughes was buying casinos and cleaning house. The old guard was being pushed out. Lombardo eventually went back to Chicago and died in the early 1970s. But Ali's legend only grew. He went on to fight in the Rumble in the Jungle, in the Thrilla in Manila. He refused to fight in Vietnam and lost his title for 3 years, but came back to win it again, twice. He became not just a boxer, but a global icon of resistance and principle. And somewhere in that legend is a night in Las Vegas, when a young man refused to be diminished by a word, refused to be intimidated by power, and taught everyone watching that dignity isn't given, it's claimed. That respect isn't about who has the most violence at their disposal. It's about who has the courage to stand their ground when violence is threatened. Muhammad Ali understood something that night that many people never learn. There are worse things than getting hurt. There are worse things than making powerful enemies. One of those worst things is accepting disrespect. One of those worst things is letting someone make you smaller than you are. The mob boss thought he could break Ali with a word. Instead, Ali taught him, and everyone watching, what it really means to be unbreakable. If this story of courage and dignity moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that you never have to accept disrespect, no matter who's giving it. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever had to stand up to someone more powerful than you? What gave you the courage? Ring that notification bell for more incredible stories about Muhammad Ali and the moments that proved why he truly was the greatest.